Quilty is brought to you by Baby Lock Sewing and Long Arm Machines. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Free Spirit. A new generation of creative and playful fabrics perfect for fashions, home decor, quilting, crafting, and more. Hovels Sewing. Cut it close with Hovels. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Thermoweb. Manufacturer of heat and bond adhesives and new luxe interfacings, proudly made in the USA. Hi out there, you're watching Quilty. I'm Mary Fons and Linda Rainwater. Welcome back.
Thanks, Mary.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
We're sitting in front of a quilting machine.
I know, having a good day, right?
It's good, yeah.
Absolutely.
What else do we want? Maybe a glass of wine, maybe some chocolate. I can make that happen. We can do it.
Okay, we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. So today we're talking about making quilting straight lines with a free motion machine. And straight line quilting, so popular. Linda, if you could point to that quilt there.
Absolutely, right here.
That nice finger work there,
Yes,
Vanna.
yes,
Very
yes,
good.
thank you.
That's a quilt that we published in Quilting Magazine, and we always publish the quilting diagram with the with the magazine. And these days we do a little place for you to doodle your own quilting design in there. But that's an example of a quilt that had straight line quilting. And you know, straight line quilting is not boring. To me, I don't think it's boring, and a lot of people would agree with me. Straight line quilting is simple to do.
Absolutely.
It is very modern, very fresh, very geometric, and you can do it either very, very straight, precision, sort of surgical precision style, or you can do it kind of more wonky, freehand.
Absolutely.
And it looks awesome.
It does look awesome all the time.
Yeah, all the time. So, Linda,
Yes.
we want to practice some free motion straight line quilting. So could you show us how to bring our thread up, how to get started?
Absolutely, and I love the fact that you got some striped fabric here for me because it's got lines on it, and that's what we're going to use as kind of our guide. And so we'll go ahead and take our magazine off here.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
And then to get started, whenever you're going to be doing free motion quilting or any type of quilting, what you want to make sure that you do is you want to bring your bobbin thread up to the top. And so I'm going to take my needle down and I'm going to bring it up, and then I'm going to slide it to the side so that I can get my bobbin thread up and top. And then by holding on to these threads, I'm going to go ahead and just take a couple little stitches in place, basically where I started.
And you would do that on your domestic machine too. If you're machine quilting, you bring your bobbin thread up to the top so you don't have a whole bunch of thread mess.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, of course, is that on a standard household machine, what you're going to do is you're going to rotate your hand wheel always towards you, never backwards. That's the rule. And on this machine, obviously, because I can't reach that guy back there, I'm using the needle up down, but it would be a little awkward.
Right.
Anyway, so now that I've got this in place, because I've got stitch regulation set up on my machine, I'm going to put my stitch regulator in place. Actually, I'm going to bring this guy and I'm going to put him on the side because it'll work better that way. Sure. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move my fabric and I'm going to follow my lines here, okay?
So you're just going on the lines of the fabric? You're not worried about it being absolutely, totally perfect?
No, you don't want to get all hung up on that. I mean, let's just face it. You know, nobody is looking that close. If they are, then obviously they think you're a master, right?
Right.
But we're so critical of the things that we do, and I don't know why. You know, I don't know why.
I don't either. I think quilters are, you know, we're smart people. We like to please people. I think, you know, we give a lot of quilts away, and sometimes we get hard on ourselves that something isn't perfect or isn't right, and we just
don't need to be that way.
We don't need
you
to
know
be that
what?
way.
You just enjoy the process itself, and you'll get better over time.
Totally.
You know, but it is definitely one of those things where I think it looks a whole lot nicer if it doesn't look like it came out of a factory.
Exactly.
I want that personal touch. I think that's what quilting is really all about.
Absolutely. So when you get to the end, show me how you would get out of the end and back onto your next line.
Right. I think that it's really kind of almost like you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to start all over from scratch here. But I will tell you, right, if you're going to be finishing your quilt off with some binding, which is traditional, what I would do is just make sure that I walked my fabric so that it was actually within that seam allowance there, and then I would just go ahead and walk myself down to my next line.
Like a little L
Right,
over.
absolutely. And then just reposition your fabric. Obviously, you want to make sure that you've got everything set up, and then I'm just going to start working in this direction here, and I'll just go down this row. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you, you just.
I almost can't stop. It's so much fun. Okay, I'll stop.
It's really fun. So that kind of gives you this rough-hewn, homemade-looking line, and I think, you know, line after line of that is just awesome. It looks very modern, very fresh.
I completely agree.
But if you do want a little more precision, and that's okay, being real super precise is okay too. It just Just don't stress out about it.
Right.
There's this awesome tool.
Yeah, so now this is a mid-arm machine, and what's nice about a mid-arm machine is it has a 1/4 of an inch thick basic foot on it, and so you can use a lot of the commercially made plexiglass rulers that are made for being able to do ruler work, is what they call it. And so this is a cool one that actually allows me to center it so that I have a little channel that I can run my machine down. And so this way, what I can do is I can start sewing. And I really don't care. I don't even have to look. And so with my eyes closed, and what it does is it allows me to just keep it on a straight line, and it just looks perfect all the time.
And then you move the ruler down and you keep going.
Absolutely. So you just keep working towards it. So like this is a really, for those of you who really want to get precision or you want to work with different shapes, I'm telling you, a mid-arm machine or a long arm machine and being able to use those plexiglass rulers are really kind of fun.
It's very cool. And
it is cool.
The way you use the ruler too, when you see one in a store, take a look at it. It's got these lines on it that you position in relation to other lines on your quilt.
Right.
Like that's how you keep it straight.
Right. So there's different lines on this one, but there's also angles too. And I think that that's ultra cool too, because now you can use it as a tool to do 45 or 60 degree angles, whatever you want. Make your quilt your own. Don't stress out about it.
Right.
Right?
Right. And remember that the quilting that you choose to do on your quilt, whether it's straight lines or flowers or little curly cues, it's totally a design element of your quilt. Your quilt, we like to say, a quilt is a sandwich. It's the backing, the batting, and the top. And it's not a quilt until it's quilted. So until you do the quilting on it, it's really just kind of a quilt sandwich.
It's just a lot of time and money.
A lot of time and money. All that material and all that fun. But yeah, it's not really a quilt till it's quilted. And so when you decide on your quilting, think it through, plan it out, sketch it out, and practice on something like this. Practice on a quilt sandwich that's just basted with spray basting or some pins. Work on your lines, see what you like, see the width that you like, and
Right, play around with it a little bit. I honestly think that practicing a lot will tell you exactly what you want to achieve. And you'll be surprised, if you're working on something big, you can space those lines out farther.
Right.
When you're working on something smaller, you might want to be a little bit closer, but just keep in proportion with whatever project that you're doing.
Right, and if you're doing straight lines that are too far apart on a big or small project, you want to have your quilt quilted enough so your batting's not going to get all bunched up when you wash it.
I'm so glad you said that, because there's actually rules on batting about how far apart or close together your quilting should be. So look at the packaging, because a lot of times it'll say 10 inches or, what does that say on there? Does it give you the guide? It'll say it somewhere. We didn't pre-read it. But anyway, look at your quilt batting, because if you don't quilt it heavily enough, what can happen is there can be shifting, and then things don't look good after you wash it. And if you're going to machine quilt it, you're going to use it, so you're going to have to keep it clean, right?
Absolutely. You told me once, the thread and the needle, they go together. It's a recipe. Same thing with batting.
Absolutely.
And the machine quilting, whether you're using a quilting machine or your domestic machine or a long arm machine, it all goes together. That's why you got to watch shows like Quilty and take classes.
That's right.
And do some stuff and go to your dealer and talk about the machines that that fit you. Thanks for coming on the show, Linda.
You're welcome. It was fun.
I learn from you all the time.
Thanks, Mir.
I try to always be learning. Thanks, Linda. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Quilty is brought to you by Baby Lock Sewing and Long Arm Machines. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Fairfield, together we can make beautiful things. Free Spirit, a new generation of creative and playful fabrics perfect for fashions, home decor, quilting, crafting, and more. Hovels Sewing, cut it close with Hovels. Moda, make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Thermoweb, manufacturer of heat and bond adhesives and new luxe interfacings, proudly made in the USA.